My name is Amy Hirsch. I am the owner of Aidinis Hirsch Interior Design. We are located in Greenwich, Connecticut, and we specialize in high-end luxury residential interior design. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I'm super fortunate. My dad, I've come from a family of tradespeople. My dad owns a plumbing and heating contracting firm. My uncle was a tiler. My other uncle's an electrician. My other uncle's a landscaper. So I think all of that has certainly been a base for why I've entered into interior design. I was super fortunate. My dad would take me to these job sites when I was like 13, 14 years old. And I was on a job site with Tony Ingrao, and a job site that was Terry Despont and also David Easton. And these homes were just magnificent. And I could understand, even in the rawest form, of right down to the studs, and they were all new builds for the most part, that I loved what I was seeing, and I could understand and navigate within the space, but also to see these antique Spanish beams come in from a castle and the terracotta floors come in. And I was also more drawn to the carpenters and the carpenters who were all putting the pieces together. And I thought to myself, as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I thought I'd be an architect. I drew quite a bit, and I really wanted to be more hands-on, I would say, and more within the craft and the artisans. And that's really what I fell in love with. So I'm just super lucky. And then as I grew up, my mom was a real estate agent, and we would get these gigantic MSL, the multiple listing books that would come out, and they'd come out weekly. And I would start in the back of the book, because the back of the book was where the most prestigious homes were, the most expensive homes were, and they were great estates, right? I'm really fortunate that being in Greenwich, I was able to see the history. I was able to see just these wonderful houses that were built, hundreds of years ago, and just really special, and the quality and the craftsmanship. And I think that also put a spin on why I wanted to enter into interior design. If you look at our body of work, it's so different. It's not cookie cutter in any way. There's no true definition of what our work exemplifies in the sense that it is longevity, and it is something in which is the spirit of our clients. We take a lot of lead from the architecture of a home and the foundation of a home. And for me, I'd much rather you get the foundation right before you even decorate the home or you design the home or furnish it. So for me, it's always about the client and about what they want. And everybody's different. Every budget is different. Every parameter is different. Every scope of work is different. And it's important to us to really dig deep to speak to these clients and understand what it is that they want to live amongst and what they want to be a part of. I'm not interested in that every house looks the same. We have our clients, which I call them our legacy clients. So we're on to their third or their fourth home. So we understand each other. We are, not that we're not educating, because we're always putting things in front of a client, but we are very much in sync, right? It's like dating, right? By the time you get through to 6 months, you kind of know what you're getting. So we really focus, I'm really lucky, and on top of it, we get to travel quite a bit with our clients, right? So within a third or fourth home, they may have it, all across the country. So work out in Wyoming and out west and in South Carolina, and that also creates a different view of what our work is. But when a client comes to us, we ask them 10 questions, and the couple has to answer them separately. And so that is my initial path of trying to figure out who someone is. And it's funny, when people answer it, sometimes you learn a tremendous amount from them. I learn lots of different things that I didn't know before. And it's really tried and true to who the client is. And if you don't pay attention to those details, you're going to have a very unhealthy situation at the end, right? So clients are pretty, for the most part, even if they're undecisive about things, you can read through it. You can decipher it through. And if you're a great listener, that's half the battle. invest in photographing in your work. It is your lifeline. And it is something that if you don't have that and you don't put that forward, you can't inspire somebody else. And you do have to get your next client at some point. And so, and it also gives you, validity in what you do. And so I think that that's really, we've been focusing a lot on our photography. We always did, but really honing in on it. I use it as a tool as well within the website, because you're never going to get a client that says, sometimes they don't know what they want their home totally to be. And so within having large bodies of work, you're able to show a client something. Listen, I don't care if you don't love this particular project or another. You may not, right? Because everybody is different. But I use the portfolio to try to gauge a client as to what it is do you like or you don't like. And I use it as a way to also talk about a budget and talk about, well, this room cost X dollars, because it's all data. And it all comes down to, being extremely transparent to a client and educating them along the way. Some clients don't really know what that endeavor is, between an architect and an interior designer and landscape architect. They may, and a general contractor, they may account in their mind what they think it's going to be. But I could tell you right down to a 10,000 square foot house, roughly where I think you are going to be. And it's all data. And if you use your photography as a tool with that, it helps. It just helps the process even more. I think because everybody went through that whole gray period and everything was so streamlined, it almost felt so austere. And I just think that it just was so cold. And I think that is one thing I will say. I don't want to see one other gray fabric at all. So we've moved to cream and white, and it's lovely. But I think it's one of those things that I think people want layers. They want collections. And I think that's the nice part about a lot of our clients. They've had collections. I've watched clients move out of their homes that they've been in for 40 years, and then they've moved on to something else. And how do you repurpose that? How do you repurpose all of these oil canvas, oil paintings? And I think as an interior designer, you have a responsibility to reuse things that are a part of the client's past, unless they completely say, I want a whole new start. But that's part of why we're so creative. You take a chair and you strip it apart and you repaint it and you reupholster it. It looks completely different. In my 20s, I started to love the wilderness and being outside. And now in this part of my life, I really love to be outside. I actually can shoot a bow and arrow, and I'm a really good shot at it. Where we live in Coscob, there's the archery, and my husband is a part of the archery. And so we will, use that at times. But I have to say, it's really therapeutic.